Okay, so welcome everyone back to Shakti Creative Power. My name is Aisha Kennedy. I'm having these brilliant conversations with women about power, what power is, true power, our feminine creative power, and how we are stepping into that more, ways that we can step into that more, and also what we can let go of, what gets in the way of us stepping fully into our power, so that we can start to shift the paradigm of what power and leadership has been in the world and bring it back into its natural flow, which is the feminine, beautiful feminine energy supported by the masculine. And today, my guest is beautiful Viknes Vari. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me, Aisha.
Yeah. Really, really a joy to have you. We're going to look at the topic of a little bit about the inner state. I like to bring congruence into our empowerment, and what that means, congruence, is really just that matching up, that meeting up of the inner state with what happens around us, our outer expression, whether that's our business or in our relationships, that our inner matches our outer. And with that, what's really important in that element, which Viknes is going to share with us today, her wisdom and knowledge, is about presence. So thank you so much, Viknes. And let's just jump in a little bit about presence, because I know it's a topic that is really close to your heart as well, and that all your work actually comes from that place. And you've been on your own adventure and exploration and journey. So let's look at presence. What does that mean to you? What is the opposite of presence? And yeah, just give us a little overview in your, in your perspective, and how it is in your life and how it can help us.
Yeah, I think it is a great question to ask what presence is not, because sometimes it gets very difficult to describe what is, right? So I think by looking at what is the opposite makes it easier to kind of have a better understanding. So for me in my life, what presence is not comes up as being caught in the mind chatter, and when I ask this question to myself about what presence is not, it really comes up as contraction in the body. So it could be any kind of emotion. It can be kind of like overwhelm. It can be exhaustion. It could be chaos that's in the external world. And then the mind kind of mirrors that chaos. So a lot of thoughts, right? A lot of thinking about, we're worrying about the future. We're thinking about the past. So it's like one foot in the past, one foot in the future. And I think sometimes we just move so fast, we don't even realize that we're avoiding this moment or what's happening to the body. And I think that's where it feels like there's a disconnect. For me, it comes up as very tense shoulders, very tight jaws, clenched hands. I start feeling a lot of contraction in my body. I guess a lot of energy is kind of stuck there.
Yeah, I feel that too. Like, I feel that the contraction in the body is one thing that...
And I think my journey has been really using the breath and just the body.
Yeah. So what do you do? Like what makes people, because I think when people are used to living in the head, they just forget about the body, and you can't actually feel what's going on to know that you're contracted if you can't actually feel into the body. So what practices do you suggest, or what do you do for yourself that brings you more in the body, so that you can notice things like, oh, I'm feeling tense, and then you know that you're in the head and not really being present?
Yeah, I love that question. It's getting me excited. But I think right now, when it's kind of easier to practice, because I've been in the practice for a while, it's really spending time with breathing. So as I breathe and my mind is focused on the in breath and then the out breath, and it's a gentle resting, then I find myself coming back to my body, and especially coming back deeper into my heart, and even sinking down to the womb space. Then the breath arises from the womb through the heart out the throat. So that feels like a very embodied practice for me. But I think at the beginning, it wasn't that easy to enter into presence. So I had to use things like painting, like a painting meditation. So as I paint, even though I create awareness about my thoughts, like my inner critic, I'm judging myself. However, along the way, there comes quiet. And as I'm painting, it just becomes like a meditation. I'm in that process. And then I enter that state of presence with what I'm doing. But what I really wanted to share, Aisha, was this beautiful practice that I learned from Eckhart Tolle that I really love. It comes from this book that I brought along, Stillness Speaks by Eckhart Tolle.
Yeah.
Let's see where this page is. So he actually talks about creating moments of stillness in the day. So it's not, we can't expect ourselves, I guess, to be in presence like throughout the entire day, right? So it's like, being a monk and like going to sit in a cave or in the mountain.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. And it's great that you say that, because, it can be daunting for people listening to this, and they think, oh yeah, I'd love that, to not be in my head so much, but it feels like so like big. So I love that you're breaking it down a little bit and saying there are other ways to be present, like doing something creative where you're using your right brain more. And please share more about what you love about Eckhart Tolle and the stillness. Yeah.
So there's this very small part that I'm going to read. He says, when you look at a tree and perceive its stillness, you become still yourself. You connect with it at a very deep level. You feel a oneness with whatever you perceive in and through stillness. Feeling the oneness of yourself with all things is true love. And when you look at a tree or a human being in stillness, who is looking? Something deeper than the person. Consciousness is looking at its creation. Oh, I get goosebumps.
Oh, me too. Oh, it's so beautiful. This is a wonderful practice. And as a creative, and Viknes is creative, and so am I. We both do some artwork, and it's really to come into that presence. But often what I do, and I'll share this, is that when I go for walks, and I'm looking at things like what he's saying about looking at a tree, but it doesn't matter what it is, that you take yourself out of the equation in a way, like it's not you looking, like as a separate person, it's not you. But if you think of it as consciousness that is looking through your eyes, right, using your body, and consciousness, the consciousness that's all around us, that is looking through our eyes and seeing, it really takes you on a different feeling inside your body. It takes you in a different space of seeing things that are beyond the mind. You're just really able to perceive. So I really love that you shared that. That's a wonderful and very simple tool that we can all do, is when we look at things, to not think, oh, I am looking at it, but just imagine that consciousness itself is seeing what is before, right there in front of you. It really feels different, doesn't it?
And I think my own practice was, I was sitting by my window and just practicing morning journaling. And then I'll kind of rest my eyes outside at the tree. So that's when I developed this practice, and realizing as I'm watching the tree and kind of listening to the bird song, then I become aware of myself being the one that's watching. And then this part then realizes, oh, consciousness is watching its creation. I was like, wow. I think these words, or even what we're talking about, it kind of registers in the mind as part of the logical mind. But I think presence and the experience of presence really has to be experienced. You have to practice can know what it is.
Yeah, that's so true. And I find that in order to experience that, you have to be a little bit more connected to your physical body, like, you have to sense it, make it more sensitive. So whatever that is, like walking in nature, or, for me, the practice of yin yoga or something like that, helps me to become more sensitive in my body, so that when things, like, I can feel things quicker, like I notice when I feel joy or when things feel contracted. And it's a bodily experience, like you say, it has to be experienced in that way, not about thinking about it, but actually a deeper level, like it's underneath thinking, it's underneath even feeling. It's this sort of, like, you get in touch with this part of you that really knows, it just knows. And it's not something that happens overnight, but like you say, we just take little steps in practicing throughout the day. Like, even if you're sitting at the computer, you can stop and just look around the room. Like, I can look at an object and just see it for that few seconds, just really see it. And it just stops everything and kind of resets myself to then take a deep breath, and then I'm here again. I'm right here, not off somewhere.
And exactly that, right? I think it's very easy and it's very common as human beings in this physical experience to just go off, and one thought kind of catapults into the next one, and then it's a train of thoughts. You're very far away from where you are now. But I didn't even come across this practice by accident. It was very intentional, especially with the book Eckhart Tolle, right? Power of Now. Right? And it was a number of years that I read it, which I think I would invite those who are watching us to read, because I think it gives us the scaffolding and the steps, and guides you through what you'll be observing and kind of experiencing, right? Because we have so much in our mind, a lot of thoughts, a lot of judgments, and I guess it comes to that point where it's not right or wrong. It's not wrong to have these thoughts, and it's not right to be present, right? It's almost like it's a flow, and when you experience presence, I think for me it just brings this sense of peace. It connects me to who I really am. It reminds me that I'm the divine, I'm one with the universe and one with all. And then I feel like I want more of this, which is one of the reasons why I keep wanting to come back into this space, and for different people, it could be different reasons. Yeah. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I love how you tapped into the sensation of when we come into presence. It's like, for me also, it's an incredible deep restfulness. Like, it's like the deepest rest, and I see how I can layer that rest with all sorts of anxieties and worries, what the mind generates. And so this is why the practice of tuning into that inner state of who we really are. We're not all those thoughts, but we're, like you say, we're connected to something bigger, the divine. And when we are in that place, is this like expansive, for me it's just this most joyful restfulness, like I just feel like all is well, and I feel a deep ability and capacity to trust more. Yeah. Thank you. So is there anything else you want to say on that one, or?
I just have a little quote from the book.
Okay, good.
So in terms of, this is a little part that I really like. It says, when you know who you truly are, there is an sense of peace. You call joy, because that's what joy is. Vibrancy, alive peace. It's the joy in itself, very life essence before life takes on form. That is the joy of being who you truly are. And it reminds me of this saying. I can't remember who said it, but think about, there's a space in your heart that's not touched by anything else. It's very pure, and it's a space for God or the divine or the universe. So I feel that when I'm connecting into who I really am, I connect to that space. Just wanted to offer those words.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks. I think that all the longing and, you know, the wants that we have, and we always feel like something is a little missing. So we're always searching for something to fill up. You know, we feel like something's missing. So we're always looking to fill up. And sometimes we look to the outer things to fill up with. And really what we want is that divine connection. We want to know who we are. And when we get the little taste of that, that's what we really want. And we want to be in that place, in that inner state. And when we are, we don't need anything from the outside. But then what happens, the outside matches our inner state. And it becomes this, it's beautiful then. Yeah.
I really resonate with that. And I think earlier on you mentioned the word confluence, Ayesha. And I want to speak to that a little bit, because especially this part where you say the inner state then the external state eventually matches that inner state, inner being. And I know how hard it can get, especially in working with child protection. There's a lot of chaos, there's a lot of uncertainty. You know, anything can happen in the environment. And I've moved from that space of moving with the chaos, you know, being in like a whirlwind, and learning how to cultivate my inner being and my inner state. And when I was able to expand that, you know, within myself, then I wasn't going so much with the chaos anymore. I could kind of stay here, and then the chaos might even just be around me, right? I don't have to match it. And then over time, I start realizing that as much I feel light and stable or in connection with my inner being, I see that around me, which can be very confusing, especially in child protection, right? Who comes and says that, oh yeah, it's calm outside, right? But I think it's a lot more about what I bring to the people that I work with. So I realized that I don't need to have this training or this tools, actually just my presence, me bringing myself into the conversation is already creating a change.
Yeah.
I don't need something more, just me, and it's enough.
Oh, I just got real chills when you said that. And I hope the listeners really like take that in, because what happens when you become present, you give the space for everyone else that you're relating to also come into presence. It's like this a magic thing that happens. So you don't have to worry what's going on with them or anything. You just have to come inside yourself and become really present with everything that's going on. It's not about pushing away and only wanting this and, you know, the good stuff and all. It's about all of it, just being present with all of it as it is. And when you can do that, you just give that space to everyone that you work with, that you relate to. You give them that power of being present. So thank you so much for bringing that up, because I just love that. Now, this is a short conversation. I like to keep them short and sweet, but I do want you to please tell the listeners and people who are watching this that, you know, what you're doing in the world and how they can connect with you, because you do have a beautiful presence. You do have beautiful devotional practices that you share with people, and you help empower women to stand in their truth and to be in their power. So it's a beautiful work that you do. So please share that with us.
Yeah, thanks for asking, Aisha. So what I'm doing right now is helping women to develop inner stability, you know, so that they can come back to their center of who they really are, no matter what is happening in the external world. And what that helps us to do is, if there are things that we're confused about or we don't have clarity, coming back to our center helps us to gain that clarity. So this is something that I'm helping women to create and to actually prioritize their needs first, so that they can serve others from their overflow. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And also women who are in relationships and they're used to maybe giving too much and not taking care of themselves and giving to their partners, right?
Yeah.
And you're helping them to really, just be more empowered, more, giving to themselves and nourishing themselves, being present with themselves, and then their relationship can flourish. Yeah.
And I've experienced that, I think, even in my own relationship, right? Because I use it as a mirror. So the more that I am in presence, or I slow down and kind of observe my own triggers, then there's more space for me to connect and to realize what is the truth that is really happening. Yeah. So I find that relationship is quite a powerful space to practice.
Thank you so much. It is all about, when you say slow down, I just feel myself like having a nice deep sigh, and slowing down is a really natural rhythm for the feminine. It's not speedy. It's taking time. It's really giving yourself and allowing yourself that time. I know it's hard because we're living in a rush kind of world, but the more of us that can stop and drop in and take those moments of slowness and authenticity that comes with just tuning into our flow and not rushing around, we give permission to more and more people. It just ripples out so that, we can be in our true power and be in our creative selves. Thank you, my gorgeous. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And I'm going to put in the notes for this video some of the quotes that you shared with us. So so anyone that is watching this, you can read those quotes as well, and save them or get the book and practice presence, because it is a practice too. It's something that takes a commitment, a conscious commitment to be in presence as much as you can, and it really is worth it. It's so worth it.
Oh yeah, it is. I mean, look at us.
All right, my love. Thank you so
much.
All right,
thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining.